Good evening. Marcus Melnick here with FirearmMentor.com. I will be beginning my evening broadcast in about a minute. I'm keep looking at the clock at 7 o'clock on the dot. So hang out, stand by, and we will get going. All right, 7 p.m. Marcus Melnick here with FirearmMentor.com. If you have questions, you can certainly post them in the live chat, or you can send me an email at tacticaldaddy@gmail.com. Tonight we're going to talk about a couple things that have to do with attitude and mindset when you are planning to use a firearm for self-defense. So, to the unprepared, the sudden shock of unprovoked violence leads sometimes to doubt and paralysis. People freeze. When someone gets an adrenaline dump or they're hyped up on an excited moment, they have four options. They either fight or react, freeze, flee, or submit. So this is kind of the submit thing. Who commits crime? Do males commit crimes? Do females commit crimes? Are you willing to use your firearm on a teenage girl, a 10-year-old boy, a coworker, a neighbor, if you're being attacked, violently attacked, that could land you in the hospital? So you gotta kind of think about that. There's a lot of moral and ethical concepts that float around self-defense. You know, if you're gonna shoot someone, is it the right person? I don't want to say do they deserve to be shot, but are they doing something that will really mess you up with great bodily harm or death? Are there innocent bystanders? And you're civilly and criminally liable. Most shootings actually occur in low light conditions at conversational distances. So the camera right now is at arm's length. I would say 2 arms length is pretty much the distance of a lot of gunfights. If you decide to use a firearm for self-defense, you need to make spiritual peace in advance with your moral decision to take another life of someone around you. Otherwise, when time is of the essence and seconds count or milliseconds count, you are going to hesitate, possibly get hurt, possibly get killed. Doubts cost time, and it may mean the difference between your survival and the survival of others around you. It doesn't matter if you can deliver 2 shots center of mass in 1.5 seconds if you took too long to make that decision. Now, that's what training is all about. Training is about practicing under the supervision of an instructor. This past weekend, we had a wonderful advanced concealed carry class. I co-taught with another instructor who's absolutely spectacular, out of this world. And one of the drills that we did was we put stickers on a big target. An H that's a yellow and a square, a heart that's clear, or white, and a 5. And we would call out the numbers. Blue 7, purple 2, heart. And the shooters had to make a decision on what to shoot. Being colorblind and having the sense of humor that I have, I called out colors and numbers that did not exist. I would call out, purple 4. There was no purple 4. The first time I did it, a couple people shot at something. Actually, they shot at something that was blue, so I wonder if they were colorblind also. But I kind of did it to tell people that sometimes it's harder not to make the shot than to make the shot. A friend of mine who was a police officer was involved in an incident where a member of society did have a firearm. It was pointed down. He responded, police officer responded, and basically said, drop the gun, and the person didn't. They dropped the gun again, and ultimately it was they were taken into custody without incident, without gunfire. But it's hard not to shoot. You're trained to shoot, so you have to also train not to shoot. Moral means relating to the principles of right and wrong. Morals are right or wrong for an individual. Ethics is conforming to an accepted standard of conduct. So your decisions to make, to use deadly force may not conform to the accepted standard of conduct. For example, I began broadcasting these 30-minute Facebook Lives on my main account, Marcus Melnick, and someone who was woke didn't like it. It didn't conform to their accepted standard of conduct, even though I was talking about, hey, if you have a firearm, lock it up, which is perfectly acceptable. But in their perception, and these days, perception is reality. They didn't like it. So they reported me. I had to use Mr. Howard's account, which I'm on right now. Thank you very much for letting me use it. Also under ethics, there's civil and criminal liability if your actions don't conform to acceptable standards, sometimes. Universal rule in a gunfight is have a gun. It's kind of silly, but it's actually true. Second rule of a gunfight, if it's not worth killing or dying for, it's not worth fighting for. You are much better off to walk away from a scenario. And if you have to think about whether you should shoot or not shoot, you probably shouldn't shoot. Okay, so once again, moral of the story, the overall arching is that it's harder not to shoot than it is to shoot, because we train to shoot. There's multiple problems that come into play when you are in a self-defense incident. The first problem is successfully defending yourself when confronted with an assailant intent on seriously injuring or killing you. The second problem is criminal liability. You are likely to be arrested. If you visit my website, firearmmentor.com, at the homepage at the top, there is a link to concealed carry insurance and prepaid legal. It is to U.S. Law Shield. I highly recommend them. They are who I partner with. They are who I would call, who I have called for questions. I haven't been involved in an incident, but that's who I would call, first phone call. I am a member. I used to be a member of another organization, but I'm not going to knock them, on a public video. And I switched because I thought U.S. Law Shield was the better product as a consumer. If you do decide to go to U.S. Law Shield, please use my last name, Melnick, to sign up, and that will guarantee that you get 2 free months and a rate lock. Moving on, the third problem is civil liability. You're going to get sued. Illinois law says that you cannot get sued by the assailant, their family, their estate, their spouse, their children, their parents. All these people are listed in the law. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get sued. That means you're going to get sued. Because all it takes is someone with $125, $150 to walk to the courthouse and file a lawsuit for anything against anybody. That's called tort law. A tort is when you wrong someone or someone wrongs you. But the law says if you acted correctly under the law, you cannot be sued for defending yourself. So attorneys know this. What are they looking for? Very, very simply, settlement, money. They're hoping that you have an insurance policy. They're hoping that you aren't going to ask any questions and you aren't going to fight it. Yeah, okay. I did have to take a shot at the bad guy, but the bad guy was a serial killer. And then you're going to get sued. So it's best to have a legal defense plan. In my classes, I teach legal self-defense in addition to firearms self-defense. No, I'm not an attorney. I cannot tell you that I'm an attorney. I cannot offer you legal advice. I can tell you I am an expert witness and I am very well versed in the law, but I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you legal advice. So let's talk about problems 2 and 3, civil and criminal liability. First of all, you have to have the mindset of you aren't taking a life. I never, ever, ever teach people shoot to kill. You are shooting to stop the attack, period. You're not taking a life, you're preserving a life. Whose life are you preserving? Yours and maybe your family members. So self-defense with a firearm is life preservation, not life-taking. And it's very possible you could present the firearm and that ends the fight. They say, whoa, I'm out, no way, I'm done. And they walk away and guess what? Nobody got hurt, that's a win. So there's significant potential for criminal liability. Are you willing to give up your wallet, your car, your TV? I say yes, they're property. You have insurance. Let the insurance pay for replacements. Are you willing to stop a rape in progress? Ooh, that's a real heavy topic for all my jokes and all that. That is a decision you have to make. Are you going to stop a rape in progress? Are you going to shoot a rapist? Are you going to call 911? What are you going to do? And would you accept a bloody nose or a black eye from a drunken coworker at a Christmas party? That doesn't deserve someone to get killed or shot. You have to draw this mental line in the sand and say, all right, well, if I see two people fist fighting, I'm not going to get involved. However, if I see someone trying to be abducted, that's my line in the sand. I see someone, being sexually assaulted, that's another line in the sand. But then there's other people who don't want to get involved. Remember, I am not SEAL Team Marcus. You are not SEAL Team insert your name. It's very possible that person could have better training than you, and a lot of training occurs in prison. Criminals go to prison, and they come out of prison not rehabilitated, but better criminals. They may have learned to fight in prison. So just understand that. Following a gunfight, you go through a ton of emotions. The first emotion you go through is you are elated. That guy tried to kill me, and I stopped him. I'm damn glad I did. Life is good. You feel good to be alive. This could last minutes, hours, or days. But as the reality of criminal and civil problems creep in, this euphoria is replaced with regret. No sane person enjoys taking the life of another human being. Then you get angry. Urgh. That was my Mr. T impression. You get angry. You're angry at the bad guy because their actions gave you no choice but to shoot. You're angry at yourself for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. You need to control your anger. You need to remain in the stage of regret as best you can. It is not in your best interest to appear angry and aggressive to police officers investigating the shooting. You are going to be upset. Absolutely. Also, don't be angry, and don't, after you've used your firearm in self-defense, don't go up to the person on the ground and kick them because you're so mad that they put you in that situation. Someone's going to be recording you, and that's going to bode unwell for you in court. Then you're going to face the emotions of doubt. With all the questions and inferences and accusations and evaluations, you're going to doubt yourself. This may cause a downward spiral into fear and panic. If you need mental health assistance, I certainly suggest talking to your physician, talking to a counselor. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It's post-traumatic stress disorder, and a lot of people have it. A lot of people also have cumulative traumatic stress disorder, where they see a bunch of little things over and over and over and over, and it starts to weigh on them. And then the next emotion that you're going to feel is fear and panic. You may do and say things that will cause damage. The most notable negative reactions to this are lying to the responding police officers. It is so much better to keep your mouth shut than to emotionally vomit on them. Don't tamper with the evidence. Don't run from the scene. Don't fail to report the shooting. The actions will paint you with a brush of guilt. Even if you're justified, don't allow fear or panic to creep into your emotions. I taught a class today of armored car personnel who protect money and collect money from businesses. And I asked someone, or asked the class, what do you need after a traumatic incident? And one person very intelligently said, I need time, and you need time. So you also may need help. It's very difficult for me to accept help often, but sometimes you need to accept the charity of others. Sometimes you need to accept their help. All right. Well, I would pause for questions, but I'm on another person's account, and I'm going to tell you what not to say to the police. That's what to say to the police was nothing. Okay, identify yourself, identify the others, call your attorney, have the attorney speak for you. Hope that makes sense. When the police arrive at the scene, if your weapon is still at the ready position, they will order you to drop your weapon. Slowly but immediately comply with their orders, drop the weapon. Don't worry if it gets scratched. Have a helpful and non-threatening demeanor. That doesn't mean, have a dozen donuts waiting for the police. All right, that was still a little bit funny. I'm smiling on the inside. Expect the responding officer to handcuff you while they investigate the scene and interview witnesses. And one of my friends just posted, it's a good idea to go to the hospital after you're involved. Is it a good idea to go to the hospital after you're involved in a use of force incident? Absolutely. You need to be checked out. I give you the details of that in the concealed carry class, and I can speak individually, but when you call the police, you identify yourself. My name is Marcus. I was the victim of a crime. Send police and 2 ambulances. Hang up. Click. That's it. Don't say anything else. The dispatcher is going to try to call you back. Remember, that is a recorded line, and you will get in trouble if you open your mouth and say the wrong thing. You want to get medical attention. I wasn't on NIPUS. NIPUS stands for Northern Illinois Police Alarm System. I did role play with them, especially the Thames Tactical EMS team. I did some role playing with them, and I got to be the bad guy at a couple different training scenarios. And do you know what they do to the police does? Yeah, I can't speak. Do you know what the police does to a sniper who just took someone's life? They take him to the hospital and they pump him full of drugs. They don't ask him to make a report for 24 hours. Human brain takes 24 hours to sort out a traumatic incident, whether it's a shooting, a car accident, death of a loved one, a funeral, that type of thing. So it takes you 24 hours to sort that out. That's why you need to have your attorney speak for you. So responding officers are going to try to piece together what happened and determine if you were justified, and it's not going to take place in 3 minutes. It might take place over weeks or months, and they're going to try to determine if you were justified in defending yourself, or did you commit a crime. The only value of giving a statement at the scene is to prevent your arrest, but if you're not an attorney, don't say anything. If they ask you for your statement, very politely, very nicely, look, after you've interviewed everyone else and my attorney is here, I will be happy to give a statement. I want to comply. I want to cooperate with your investigation, but I'm going to ask that you complete your initial interviews of the witnesses first. Sometimes, and you'll see this on TV, cops will say, hey, look, I need a statement real quick. Something's going on. I need a statement. And they will pressure you to speak, and you're going to want to talk. Keep your mouth shut, okay? Upon completing your initial interview of witnesses and the arrival of my attorney and counsel, then I will give a statement. Okay. Even if the officer indicates that they don't intend to charge you, ask for your firearm back and get an official clearance. The cop at the scene is not going to clear you of the shooting. The investigators, after they investigate and speak to the state's attorney, they are going to make that determination if your shooting was justified. So why do I say hang up on the dispatcher and don't answer the phone? I also say don't post on social media, don't snap it, don't put it on Instagram, don't put it on any social media. There was an incident, I believe it was Southern Illinois, a couple years back, where it was a typical bump in the night that you see on all the Lifetime shows. And the wife says, hey, honey, wake up, there, I heard a noise. And the husband puts his robe on, puts his gun in his pocket, and goes down the stairs. And it's dark, and he's looking, and all of a sudden he's looking. Bam! He gets clobbered. He gets clobbered by this guy who's bigger than him and is beating the living daylights out of him. The bad guy's on top of the homeowner and punching him in the face. Homeowner starting to lose consciousness. So he makes that decision. On his back, he takes out his gun, bang, bang, bang. Bad guy slumps on top of him. Pushes the bad guy off, brushes himself off. I don't know if he really did that. I'm embellishing on that part. Brushes himself off, calls 911 and says, this guy just attacked me. He's in my house. I shot him. He's wearing blue jeans and a brown top, and I'm wearing black pajamas or whatever he was wearing. Send police quick. And while he's on the phone, the wife appears at the top of the stairs, and she says, did you really have to shoot him? and that was on the recorded line. This cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney fees. He beat the criminal charge, but he's now being sued in civil court. That's why you hang up. Any of the background noises, anyone saying anything, anyone screaming and yelling is going to be used against you in court. Does that make sense? Now, if the officer intends to arrest you or is vague or tells you, look, it's department policy to arrest normal post-shooting procedures, just say, I understand your position. I'm happy to cooperate. I'm invoking my right to remain silent and request the presence of an attorney. Always get that attorney in that room with you. If you are arrested, you submit without resistance. Okay? Given the opportunity to make a phone call, contact someone or your attorney or that emergency number on the back of your U.S. Law Shield card if you have prepaid legal services. You don't make any statements until the attorney is present. And you post bail if necessary. And if you're nice, you can request what's called an I-bond until the end of 2021. An I-bond is like a recognizance bond. You sign a piece of paper, you say it's a legal document. You say that I agree to show up in court. However, the law has changed beginning January 1st, and either you're going to get an I-bond or you're going to get incarcerated, period. There is no discretion on whether an I-bond can be issued. All right. The police have 48 to 72 hours to charge and release you. If the case is questionable, it goes to grand jury. If you are charged, there's a preliminary hearing where the judge determines if there's enough evidence for a jury trial. If there is, a court date is set, and it's usually pushed back and back and back. Then there's plea bargaining, motions from the defense, prosecution, and it could take 2 to 18 plus months for the case to be resolved. Either you're going to post bond or you're going to remain in jail. Okay, we're going to pause for station identification, and we're going to transition to how to select a firearm that will defend you. There are 3 factors in selecting an appropriate self-defense firearm: accuracy, speed, and power. Which is the most important? Accuracy. You have to hit your assailant with well-placed shots in a vital area. Typically, it's a thoracic cavity. Even if you shoot first or are shooting a more powerful weapon, if you miss, or you shoot them in the earlobe or non-critical area, you will not stop the assailant. They will continue to fight with you. Even if you do shoot them in the thoracic cavity. There was a police officer in Skokie who emptied dozens of .45 caliber shots into a bad guy's thoracic cavity who was pursuing him, and the bad guy just kept coming and coming, and I believe he was on PCP or a similar drug. Speed. You have to hit the assailant before he hits you. Even if you're the most accurate shooter and you're shooting a powerful weapon, if he hits you first, you lose. Power. You must hit your assailant with enough power to cause damage to incapacitate them as soon as possible, stopping the fight. Even if you hit a vital area, it might not stop the fight. You might need follow-up shots. You might need additional defensive tactics. So handguns typically have 150 to 400 foot-pounds of energy when that projectile leaves the barrel. It's a measurement, and it's not a lot. A shotgun, now handguns are 150 to 400 foot-pounds. Shotguns have 1,700 foot-pounds, and rifles have 2,300 foot-pounds. So that's why the military uses rifles. They're more effective. And a rifle is an offensive weapon. A shotgun is an offensive weapon. A handgun is a defensive weapon. So here's the difference. The offensive weapon is powerful enough to create a hydrostatic shock to the body with a devastating and incapacitating effect. The shock occurs when the bullet meets the fluid inside the body. Fluids don't compress. So when the fluid is pushed and propelled, the fluid damages other organs. Coupled with the body is hit with 9 30 caliber projectiles with a shotgun. 30 caliber, remember that's a third of an inch, or just under a third of an inch. Much greater shock to the nervous system. That's why shotguns tend to be pretty effective, creating multiple wound channels. But it is not a long-distance weapon. It is a short-distance weapon. And handguns have energy that approaches the hydrostatic level, but they're significantly deficient in stopping power. So there's different categories of handgun cartridges. I'll start with a subcaliber. A subcaliber is a 22 long rifle, a 25 ACP, or a 32 ACP. Remember, these are measurements of hundredths of an inch. So 22 to 32 hundredths of an inch is what I would call a subcaliber. Minor caliber, which is a step up, includes 22 Magnum, 380 ACP, 9mm, 38, and 357 Magnum. Yes, I said 357 Magnum from a barrel that is less than 3 inches. And then a major caliber is 357 Magnum with a 4-inch or greater barrel, 10mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP, 41 Magnum. There's 45 Long Colt, there's 45 GAP. Those are major calibers. Any of these calibers can kill someone. The goal is not to kill. The goal is to stop the threat. Death is a side effect of that. So you're going to have to choose a gun that fits your ability, that fits your lifestyle, that type of thing. A sweet spot for me is 9mm, although there's other calibers out there. People will say, no, you need a 45, it's the Lord's caliber, or you need this, or you need that. Remember, the first rule of every gunfight is have a gun. All right. Coming up, last weekend of September 25th and 26th, I have a concealed carry class. The academic portion will be taught in the northwest suburbs. The shooting portion will be taught at a range in the western suburbs, about 20-25 minutes away from the place that we're going to do the academics. If you would like to join the class, I would love to have you. I have room in it. My classes tend to create camaraderie and friendships, as well as some awesome learning opportunities. If you are interested, the cost for my concealed carry class is $200, and you get a free copy of my book, What You Need to Know Before Handling a Handgun. It's an ebook. It's a PDF. I send it to you at the conclusion of the class, along with an email answering all the questions I couldn't answer on the spot. And I send court cases and a ton of information. Also, I send out a newsletter twice a month with great self-defense information, new products, changes in the law. Yes, there is some politics involved because guns are closely related to politics. If you would like to be on that mailing list, email me at tacticaldaddy@gmail.com, tacaldaddy@gmail.com, to say, hey, I saw your video on wherever you saw it, Facebook, YouTube, MeWe, wherever you happen to see it, and I'd like to get your newsletter. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free information. I don't bombard you every day with a new thing. Buy my stuff, buy my stuff. No, this is informational. It goes out twice a month. Once in a while, if there's a hot topic, a third one will get sent out. All right. I hope that you guys are having fun. One of the things that I'm going to explain is you don't point a gun at something you're not willing to destroy. That is an NRA thing. On the shooting range, the target's generally a flat sheet of paper. No one's in the foreground, no one's in the background. But on the street, it's significantly more complicated, which is why you are going to want and need training to figure out what to do if someone steps between you and the bad guy 2 seconds before you're going to make that shot. If you press the trigger and that round over-penetrates and goes through the bad guy and continues, what's it going to strike? What's your liability? Once you fire that shot, it's gone. You cannot alter its course. It's basically an attorney on call. If you miss something and you hit another person, you're going to get a call from an attorney, or you're going to get a visit from the police. So please, please, please be careful. It's better to not shoot than to shoot. You only shoot as an absolute last resort. We are up to the 30 minutes. I want to thank you for taking the time and listen. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. I would love to make contact with you. Even if you never, ever take a class from me and you have a firearms question, hit me up. Send me an email. Contact me through firearmmentor.com. I get daily a ton of questions on firearms. And I love it. This is my passion. This is my heart. I teach from the heart. The other part of my heart is my family, my wife, my kids, including everyone in my family. So please, please, please like, subscribe, share. I would love to have conversations with you. And I hope you have a good, safe night. Thank you.